The lie detector sits between us like a judge. Cold metal, blinking red light. The sound it makes when it catches a lie, that sharp, accusatory beep, still echoes in my memory from last night's interrogation. Maya! Derek's voice cuts through the morning silence of our kitchen. We need to talk. I don't look up from my coffee. The steam rises between my fingers and I inhale deeply, letting the bitter scent ground me. Outside our apartment window, Seattle's gray sky mirrors the heaviness in my chest. About what? I ask, though we both know. About why you came home 20 minutes late yesterday? His footsteps approach behind me. About why you wouldn't look me in the eye when I asked where you were. The machine gleams on our kitchen counter like a metallic spider. 2 months ago, Derek ordered it online after reading some article about relationship transparency. Just for fun, he'd said then, his smile boyish and charming, like a party trick. Nothing about it feels like fun now. I turn to face him. Derek stands in the doorway, still handsome in that clean-cut way that first drew me to him 3 years ago. Blonde hair perfectly styled even at 8 a.m. Blue button-down crisp despite sleeping in it. But something hungry lurks behind his pale eyes now, something that wasn't there when we first fell in love. I was stuck in traffic, I say. True, but not the whole truth. I was also sitting in my car outside the office building working up the courage to walk back into our shared life. Working up the strength to pretend everything between us still felt real. His jaw tightens. Then you won't mind proving it. The morning light slants across his face, highlighting the stubble he forgot to shave. Once, I would have reached up and traced that roughness with my fingertips. Once, the intensity in his gaze would have made me melt instead of making me want to run. Derek, I set my mug down carefully. We can't keep doing this. Doing what? Caring about honesty in our relationship? Interrogating each other every time someone's 5 minutes late or forgets to mention stopping at the grocery store? But he's already moving toward the machine, running his fingers along its plastic casing with something close to reverence. The morning light catches the wedding ring I gave him last Christmas. A promise ring, really, though we never called it that. Just a simple silver band that meant someday. Now it glints like a shackle. It's not interrogation if you have nothing to hide, he says. I watch his hands as he sets up the electrodes. Long fingers, steady and sure. Those hands used to worship me. Used to trace patterns on my skin in the dark while he whispered my name like a prayer. Now they only touch me to strap me to this machine. The irony tastes bitter on my tongue. Derek demands truth from me while lying to himself about what this relationship has become. What if I refuse? I ask, his movements still. When he looks at me, something cold flickers across his features. Why would you refuse unless you're hiding something? Unless you're... He doesn't finish the sentence, but the word hangs between us anyway. Cheating, my heart pounds, but not from guilt, from rage, from the suffocating weight of loving someone who no longer trusts me, who maybe never truly did. Fine, I breathe. Move toward the machine, my bare feet silent on the cold kitchen tiles. Derek's relief is palpable, but he doesn't see the way my mind is already working. Doesn't notice how my fingers trail along the device's base as I settle into the chair. Doesn't realize that my degree in electrical engineering might actually be useful for something other than the boring consulting work that pays our bills. He attaches the electrodes to my skin. His touch is clinical, detached. Nothing like the way he used to handle me, as if I were something precious he was afraid to break. Ready? He asks. I meet his eyes. I've been ready for weeks. 3 days later, I'm in my car outside Radio Shack with a bag of components and a plan that tastes like freedom on my tongue. The autumn rain drums against my windshield, and I sit in the gray afternoon light studying the circuit diagrams I printed at work. It's surprisingly simple, Derek's little truth machine. Cheap components, basic wiring. A polygraph wannabe that measures skin conductance and pulse rate, then flashes lights and makes sounds designed to intimidate rather than actually detect deception. But simple doesn't mean ineffective. Not when wielded by someone who's convinced. That love means complete transparency, complete control. My phone buzzes. Derek, of course. Where are you? My fingers hover over the keyboard. I could tell him the truth, that I'm sitting in a parking lot learning how to beat his game, that I'm planning to turn his weapon back on him. Instead, I type, running errands, home soon. Not a lie, exactly. Just incomplete. The rain intensifies. As I drive home, and by the time I park outside our building, water streams down the car windows like tears. I study our third-floor apartment windows, warm yellow light spilling out into the gray evening. Once, the sight of that light meant sanctuary. Home. Now it feels like a trap I'm about to spring. Derek opens the door before I can find my keys. He's changed into dark jeans and a gray sweater that brings out his eyes. In the apartment's warm glow, he looks like the man I fell in love with. The man who used to surprise me with picnics in Discovery Park, who once drove 4 hours to Portland just because I mentioned wanting good donuts. How were the errands? He asks, taking my jacket. Fine. I let him help me out of it, his fingers, brushing my shoulders. The touch sends a familiar shiver through me, muscle memory of desire. My body still responds to him even as my heart learns to protect itself. Get everything you needed? The question sounds casual, but his eyes search. My face foretells. For signs of deception he's trained himself to recognize. I wonder if he knows how transparent his own suspicion has become. Mostly. I head toward the kitchen, where the lie detector waits on the counter like a patient predator. Though I might. Need to go out again tomorrow. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. Where? Hardware store. I'm thinking about that shelf project for the bedroom. True, actually. I do want to install shelves. But I also need to pick up a few more components. A variable resistor that will let me control the machine's readings. Some heat shrink tubing to hide my modifications. Derek follows me into the kitchen. We could go together, make it a date. The word date lands wrong between us. When did our relationship become something that required surveillance? When did together start meaning monitored? That's sweet, I say, meaning it despite everything. Because part of me still loves the Derek who wants to spend Saturday afternoons browsing hardware aisles with me. But you hate home improvement stores. I don't hate them if you're there. The sincerity in his voice catches me off guard. For a moment, the suspicious stranger falls away, and I see my boyfriend again. The one who used to claim that watching me comparison shop for screws was better entertainment than movies. I turn to face him fully. In the kitchen's warm light, his features soften. The harsh angles that have defined his face for weeks ease into something familiar. Something I could still love if he'd let me. Derek, I start, then stop. What would I say? That I miss him? That I miss us? That somewhere between his first accusation and his latest interrogation, we lost the ability to simply be together without keeping score? He steps closer. Close enough that I catch his scent. The soap he's used since college, mixed with something, uniquely him. Close enough that I have to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. I know I've been... He pauses, searching for words. Intense lately. It's just that you mean everything to me, Maya. The thought of losing you. His hand rises to cup my cheek, thumb tracing the line of my jaw. The gesture is achingly familiar, but there's something desperate in it now. Something that grips rather than caresses. You're not going to lose me, I whisper. But even as I say it, I know it's not entirely true. He's already lost me. Lost the version of me that trusted him completely, that felt safe in his love instead of trapped by it. His eyes search mine, looking for something he won't find there anymore. Promise? The word hangs between us like a challenge, like a trap, because promising means submitting to another test, another session with his machine, another opportunity for him to find me wanting. Instead of answering, I rise on my toes and kiss him, soft and brief, but real, a ghost of what we used to be. When I pull back, his eyes are closed, his expression peaceful in a way I haven't seen in weeks. I should start dinner, I murmur. He nods but doesn't step back immediately. We stand there in our kitchen, close enough to touch but separated by everything we're not saying, everything we're not trusting each other with. Tomorrow, I'll modify his machine. Tomorrow, I'll turn his game back on him. Tonight, I let myself remember what it felt like to love him without keeping secrets. 2 weeks of careful work, and the machine is mine now. Same plastic casing, same blinking lights. But hidden beneath the manufacturer's circuits lies my own creation, a sophisticated override that responds to a pressure point I've built into. The base, touch it just right, and the machine will lie for me. Derek doesn't suspect. Why would he? In his mind, I'm just his girlfriend, who happens to be good with computers. He's never asked about the intricacies of my electrical engineering degree, never wanted to know why I chose that field or what I'm capable of building. His oversight will be his undoing. Maya, we need to talk. The words I've been expecting for days. I look up from my laptop, where I've been pretending to review project specifications while actually researching my boyfriend's digital footprint. 3 years together, and I'm only now learning how many secrets he keeps. About what? I ask, closing the laptop with studied casualness. Derek sits on our couch, but his posture remains rigid, formal, like he's conducting a business meeting rather than talking to the woman he claims to love. About last night. About why you were on your phone when you thought I was asleep. My pulse quickens, but not with guilt, with anticipation. I was texting my sister about our mother's birthday plans, completely innocent. But Derek's suspicious mind has already written a different story. I couldn't sleep, I say. True. So I was checking emails. Also true, though I leave out the part about researching his social media activity, about finding photos tagged at bars I've never been to, about discovering that his guys' nights happen far more frequently than he's ever mentioned. At 2 a.m., you know how my insomnia gets. His eyes narrow. Then you won't mind proving it. The ritual begins. Derek sets up his precious machine, with reverent care, while I settle into what has become my interrogation chair. But this time, my heart pounds with excitement, rather than dread. This time, I'm the one with power. The electrodes attached to my skin with their familiar cold touch. Derek's fingers brush my wrist as he secures the last sensor, and I feel that involuntary shiver of response. My body still wants him, even as my mind plans his downfall. Ready? He asks. I nod, my fingers finding the hidden pressure point I've built into the machine's base. One touch, and the device becomes mine to control. Were you texting someone last night? Derek begins. Yes. The truth. The machine stays silent. A man? No. A lie. But I engage my override. The machine stays silent. Derek frowns at the readout. He'd been expecting, hoping, for a different response. Were you texting about our relationship? No. Another lie. I'd complained to my sister about Derek's increasing paranoia, but the machine dutifully stays quiet under my control. His confidence wavers. I can see it in the way his shoulders tense, in the slight tremor in his hands as he adjusts the settings. Were you texting another man about meeting up? No. Truth this time, but Derek doesn't know that. He only knows his infallible machine continues to validate my innocence. Derek, I say softly, maybe we should switch. The words drop into the room like stones into still water. Derek's head snaps up, his face suddenly pale. Switch? It's only fair. I've been taking these tests for months, but you've never proven your own honesty. I watch the color drain from his features. Watch his Adam's apple bob as he swallows hard. I don't need to prove anything. I'm not the one who... Who what? Who comes home late sometimes? Who has friends you don't know? Who maintains basic privacy in a relationship? My voice remains level, but steel threads through each word. Derek hears it, recognizes the shift in power. Maya, that's not... Sit down. The command in my tone surprises us both. Derek's eyes widen, but he moves toward the chair with mechanical obedience, like a man walking toward his own execution. I stand, moving with newfound authority as I prepare to attach the electrodes to his skin. My fingers brush his pulse point at his wrist, and I feel his heart hammering against his ribs. This isn't necessary, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. Then you have nothing to worry about. I secure the last electrode to his temple, my fingertips trailing along his hairline. The touch is almost tender, a ghost of old intimacy, but Derek flinches as if burned. Ready? I echo his earlier question. He nods, but sweat beads on his forehead. Despite the apartment's cool temperature, I lean back against the kitchen counter, studying him. In the chair where I've spent so many uncomfortable hours, Derek looks smaller somehow. Vulnerable. The harsh confidence that has defined our recent interactions crumbles under the weight of his own medicine. Have you been faithful to me? I ask. The question hangs in the air like smoke. Derek's mouth opens, closes, opens again. Yes, he finally whispers. The machine screams. The lie detector's accusatory beep echoes through our kitchen like a death knell. Derek's face goes white, then red, then white again as he stares at the blinking lights that have just branded him a liar. He struggles with the electrodes, trying to tear them off. There's something wrong with it, it's malfunctioning. I don't move from my position against the counter. The same machine that's been infallible for months? The same one you've used to interrogate me after every argument, every late night, every moment you decided I might be lying to you? Maya, please, sit down. The authority in my voice surprises even me. Derek freezes mid-rise, caught between sitting and standing, between confession and denial. The machine doesn't lie, Derek. Isn't that what you always tell me? Slowly, he sinks back into the chair. The electrodes remain attached, sensors reading the rapid-fire chaos of his pulse, the sweat gathering on his skin, the microscopic tremors that betray his fear. Let's try again, I say, moving closer. Close enough to see the panic in his pale eyes, close enough to smell the cologne he wore on our first date, the one I used to love and now associate with interrogation and suspicion. Have you been faithful to me? Yes. Maya, yes, of course I have. The machine shrieks again, louder this time, more insistent. Derek's hands clench into fists. This is ridiculous. You're obviously tampering with it somehow. How would I tamper with it? I'm just asking questions. I circle behind his chair, placing my hands on his shoulders. Feel the tension coiled there like springs under pressure. The same questions you've asked me. The same doubts you've had about our relationship. My fingers work into the knots of stress at the base of his neck. Once, this touch would have made him melt, made him lean into my hands with grateful sighs. Now he sits rigid, every muscle fighting my attempt at comfort. Who is she? I whisper near his ear. There's no... He cuts off as the machine begins its electronic tantrum again. The machine says otherwise. My voice stays gentle even as my heart pounds with a mixture of vindication and heartbreak. Tell me about the woman you've been seeing. I'm not seeing anyone. Beep, beep, beep. The brunette from your office Christmas party? I continue massaging his shoulders, feeling him tremble under my touch. The one in the photos from Jake's birthday that you forgot to mention attending? Derek's breathing becomes shallow. How did I find out? The same way you've been checking up on me. Social media, credit card statements, the location history on your phone that you forgot to turn off. I leaned down until my lips brushed the shell of his ear. The difference is, I actually found something. Shudder runs through him, not desire this time, pure, undiluted fear. Maya, I can explain. Can you? Because I'm very interested in hearing how you explain the hotel charges, the dinners at restaurants we've never been to together, the way you started accusing me of cheating right around the time you actually started doing it yourself. My hands slide from his shoulders to his chest, feeling his heart race under my palms. Psychology 101, Derek. We accuse others of our own crimes. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. Silence stretches between us, broken only by the machine's electronic patience. Waiting for truth that Derek can't bring himself to speak. Her name is Amanda, he finally whispers. The admission hits me like cold water. Even expecting it, even knowing it had to be true, hearing the confession still feels like a physical blow. Amanda from your office. Yes. How long? Another. Pause. Another internal war between honesty and self-preservation. 3 months, he says finally. The machine stays quiet. Truth at last. 3 months. 3 months of him coming home to interrogate me about my fidelity while he was fucking someone else. 3 months of him making me doubt my own innocence, while he perfected his guilt. I circle back to face him, studying his features. The face I've kissed 1,000 times, the mouth that's whispered my name in the dark, and also accused me of betrayal in the harsh light of day. Did you love her? I ask. No. The machine agrees with its silence. Do you love me? A longer pause this time. Derek's eyes meet mine, and I see something raw and desperate there. Something that looks like the truth, finally. Yes, he breathes. Again, the machine stays quiet. Then why? My voice cracks despite my effort to stay controlled. Why destroy us for someone you don't even love? Derek closes his eyes. I was scared. Scared of how much I need you. Scared that someone as incredible as you would eventually realize you could do better. So I started looking for proof that you already had. The words pour out now, months of fear and insecurity spilling into our kitchen. And when I couldn't find any proof, I created reasons to doubt you, pushed you away before you could leave me. And then he opens his eyes, meeting my gaze with devastating honesty. Then I found Amanda, and it felt like insurance, like if you left, I wouldn't be completely alone. I remove the electrodes from his skin with gentle fingers. The machine falls silent, its job finally done. You were never going to lose me, I say quietly. Not until you decided to throw us away first. Derek reaches for my hands, but I step back. The distance between us feels vast now, unbridgeable. Maya, please, I'll end it. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. You can't fix trust, Derek. Once it's broken, I shake my head. You taught me that. The apartment feels different in the morning light. Emptier, even though neither of us has left yet. Derek sits at our kitchen table, still wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at the lie detector like it's a bomb that's already detonated. I'm making coffee with mechanical precision, muscle memory carrying me through the familiar routine while my mind processes the wreckage of our relationship. 3 years, gone in the space of a single conversation and a machine's electronic judgment. I called Amanda, Derek says without looking up. Ended it, last night after you went to bed. I pour coffee into 2 mugs. Habit, not kindness. Good. Maya, don't. I set 1 mug in front of him anyway. Don't make this about her. This isn't about Amanda. Then what is it about? I sit across from him at the table that's witnessed so many meals, so many conversations, so many plans for a future that now lies in pieces around us. It's about the fact that you spent 3 months convinced I was cheating while you actually were. It's about the machine. I gesture at the device between us. It's about how you weaponized trust against me. Derek's fingers wrap around his coffee mug like an anchor. I know I messed up. I know I let my fear turn me into someone I hate. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work on communication. Can we trust each other enough for counseling? To work? The question stops him cold. Because we both know the answer. I don't trust you not to lie to me, I continue. And you don't trust me not to leave you. Those aren't problems a therapist can solve. They're fundamental incompatibilities disguised as love. That's not true. What we have, had, it's real. Was real. Past tense. I meet his eyes across the table. I loved you, Derek. Completely. The way you loved the idea of me but never trusted the reality of me. I do trust you. You bought a lie detector to interrogate me after arguments. You monitored my location. You questioned every friendship, every late night, every moment I spent existing outside your direct supervision. My voice remains steady, but pain bleeds through anyway. That's not trust, that's control. Derek's face crumples. I was terrified of losing you. So you pushed me away to test whether I'd stay. Then you found someone else so losing me wouldn't hurt as much. I shake my head. Self-fulfilling prophecy. We sit in silence for long minutes. Outside, Seattle's morning traffic builds to its usual crescendo, the world continuing its rotation despite our small domestic apocalypse. What happens now? Derek asks finally. Now you move out. Find somewhere else to live while we figure out the lease and dividing our stuff. Maya, please. No. The word comes out sharper than I intend. You don't get to please me anymore. You don't get to negotiate or bargain or promise to change. You had 3 years to be honest with me. You chose lying and cheating and suspicion instead. I stand, carrying my half-empty mug to the sink. The morning light streams through our kitchen window, illuminating dust motes that dance in the air like tiny ghosts of our former life. For what it's worth, Derek says behind me, I really do love you. I don't turn around. I know. That's what makes this so tragic. Then why can't we? Because love isn't enough. The words taste like ashes in my mouth. Love without trust is just beautiful suffering. And I'm done suffering beautifully for someone who never learned to trust the love he claimed to want. I hear his chair scrape against the floor. Feel him approach until he's standing just behind me, close enough that his warmth touches my back, but distant enough that we don't actually make contact. I'll pack some things, he says quietly. Stay at Jake's for a while. Good. Maya, this time I do turn. Derek stands in the morning light, and I see him clearly for perhaps the first time in months. Not the paranoid stranger who's been sharing my bed, but not quite the man I fell in love with either. Someone in between. Someone I might have been able to love if we'd met each other as who we really are, instead of who we pretended to be. I'm sorry, he says, for all of it, for not being the man you deserved. The apology settles between us like a period at the end of a sentence. Final. Complete. I know, I say. I'm sorry, too, for not being brave enough to leave the first time you accused me of cheating, for staying long enough to let us hurt each other this badly. Derek nods, acceptance replacing the desperate hope that's lived in his eyes for weeks. Will you? He pauses, seeming to reconsider his question. Never mind. What? Will you be okay? Without me? The question breaks something in my chest that's been held together by stubborn determination and righteous anger. Because despite everything, despite the lies and the machine and the betrayal, part of me will miss him, will miss the version of us that existed before fear poisoned everything we built together. Yes, I say. I'll be okay. Good. He attempts a smile that doesn't quite work. That's That's good. After he leaves, bag packed, keys returned, forwarding address scrawled on a napkin, I sit alone in our kitchen with the lie detector. Our kitchen now, my kitchen. The machine looks harmless in the afternoon light. Just cheap plastic and basic. Electronics. Nothing more threatening than a child's toy. But I've learned that the most dangerous weapons are often the simplest ones. The ones that promise easy answers to complicated questions. The ones that let us avoid doing the hard work of actually trusting each other. I pick up the device, feeling its weight in my hands. Then I walk to the window and drop it into the dumpster 3 floors below, watching it shatter against the concrete with a satisfying crash. Some things are better broken than fixed. That evening, I call my sister. "How did it go?" she asks. I'm sitting on my couch, not our couch anymore, with a glass of wine and take-out Thai food. The apartment feels larger without Derek's presence, but not necessarily empty, just spacious, full of possibility. "It's over," I say. "Good. You deserve better than someone who treats love like a crime to be investigated." I know. And for the first time in months, I actually believe it. Outside my window, Seattle's lights twinkle like stars. Somewhere out there, Derek is probably explaining to Jake why he needs a place to stay. Somewhere out there, Amanda is probably wondering why her married boyfriend suddenly broke things off. And here, in the space we used to share, I'm learning how to breathe without being watched, how to exist without being questioned, how to trust myself again after spending so long being told my truth wasn't good enough. It feels like freedom. It feels like finally coming home.